Well, yeah. I mean, if you want to ruin your life completely by ruining it with basically any drug, and even after you realize that you are kinda, you're slipping, you're losing the control, you're not actually in control any longer, which is, I think, always the scary part about about any addiction, actually, to not be in control. And then just go like, well, fuck it, I'm gonna continue down this path. Well, yeah, that's on them. It's the same actually for any drug addict, honestly. I have little mercy for these people, because if you are so unwilling to accept any form of help, well, that's on you. Then go ahead, ruin your life, and I'm not going to care overly much about it for the most part, because that seems to be a bit of a lost cause. Look, the man who made the little paper planies. Yeah. I will always presume that anyone who has reached adulthood, plus a few years, because let's be honest here, by the time you're 18, you're not really an adult. But if you enter your 30s, you will have more than ample opportunity to get more than enough experience to understand what you're doing, to both the world and yourself. So if at that point you still continue doing any sort of behavior that is either going to be harmful to yourself or to others, I'll just assume that you do it on purpose, that is your way. Fair enough. Teach. And it's the same with anything, it doesn't even need to be substance abuse. It's just, when I meet somebody in their 30s and they're acting in horribly, predictably stupid ways that really makes it annoying to work with them, then I assume that that is not just because they don't know better. They absolutely probably do know better, and they still do it, which means there's a certain intent there. At which point I'm not going to bother much. Now will I? Why would I? Indeed. Do you know how much time, energy I wasted on trying to correct people, trying to help? More than enough. Probably, if I take it all together, years at this point. At some point, you just get sick and tired of it. At which point, you realize that, there are a few people, family, a few good friends that I probably would still be willing to help, even if they were the most ungrateful bitches about it. But apart from that, I'm probably not going to run around and try to help. Why? It's kind of sad, but, it's just the realization you come to. You don't have the necessary energy to heal the fucking world and all of its inhabitants. So, since your time on this planet is limited, your energy that you have each day is limited, you should somewhat be choosy about what you spend it on. Like me, for example, I have decided that today, so long as the gods of the internet were willing, as they were, I'm going to spend my time doing this. Is this necessarily a productive use of my time? It's debatable. Some people would say yes, other people would say no. I would say it's first and foremost relaxing, which is more than enough for me. Yeah. Whee! Throw the little paper plane. Do it. But hey, I still haven't lost my, or part of my optimism. I do realize that over the years I have adapted a bit more of a darker humor, for example, and have become quite a bit more direct in my speech when it comes to certain topics. I do realize that that is probably a sign of the experience and what they have taught me. I'll be quite honest about that. Wasn't all, sunshine, put it mildly, but I still would consider myself reasonably optimistic for the most part. Yeah. Indeed, it is a form of self-respect. That's a really important thing. There's a certain thing, I see it more in women, but also I've seen it in men, so this is not just a gender thing, mind you. Where people have real problem just accepting themselves and seeing themselves through themselves. A lot of people, especially a lot of women, have the unfortunate tendency that the only way they can actually see themselves, their self-worth, through if it gets reflected off of another person. Which is a horrible state to be in, because that means you are quite incapable of just existing with yourself. No boy, is that gonna backfire for many, many reasons. Oh well. On the other side, if you are somewhat lucky enough to go through some shit, learn from some shit, and, you know, establish everything, you will, even if you're now, just like me right now, I'm right now sitting here all alone with the, I mean, the kitty is screaming in the background a bit, but I don't need somebody else to understand what I am, where I am, who I am, no anything else. I'm going to wake up tomorrow, I'll go into the bathroom, look in the mirror and go like, you know what, pretty okay, pretty okay. Pretty okay still. No problem. I mean, you know, you don't need to be the kind of guy who goes in front of the mirror and goes like, man, what a manly man. How fucking awesome. I don't need to go to lean that far out of him, but purely psychologically speaking, if you are incapable of, quote unquote, seeing yourself in the mirror, yeah, it's a problem. It's gonna be an even worse problem given some time. But yeah, basically you can spin this, any sort of conversation like this, you can spin endlessly in hundreds different of ways. We could focus on one example, then go to another example of the human experience, then go through the very different perspectives to any of these problems, and go on and go on. Well, it's a nice thing about it. It's actually a good conversation topic when you think about it. Also reminds me, I wanted to get myself a new drink for at least the last half an hour or so. I should probably do this at some point. Yeah, as I said, some people have a distinct lack in understanding how to determine their own worth unless they get it reflected through another person, which puts them in a very, very weak position. And oh, believe you me, there are more than enough people who will use that against you. Abso-fucking-lutely. There are assholes out there. Like, I have no doubts there. But, you know, let it be said. While I would not consider most of the relationships that stem from such a imbalance of power between the partners to be healthy, it can work out. Yeah, some people who can quite happily live with that. I mean, I probably wouldn't be happy with that, because I would probably get rather annoyed relatively quickly and then start shit. And then it would be an well, done and over with relationship, probably. But that's just me. After all, I am not forcing my own opinions on this particular matter on anyone else who is maybe engaged in something like this. Yeah. People will be strange little creatures. I mean, it's part of what makes them so fascinating. Actually, it's part of the reason why I actually do like to talk with people, especially new people, because, well, they have, of course, unique experiences and unique views that are interesting to discuss. Not necessarily to the point of changing my viewpoint, but just from the perspective of it's another point of reference that you have. You wouldn't have got another one. So, you know, pretty nice. Yeah. And I'm personally of the opinion I just don't have the necessary energy and time in my life to actively hate people for no good fucking reason. If you give me a good enough reason, I will hate you and I will try to sabotage you at any chance I get. But to get me that far, you would actually have to do quite a bit of work first. Because otherwise, why would I waste my time senselessly hating on people? It's a waste. A waste of time. I will be dismissive of people, mind you. Because being dismissive does not cost me any energy at all. It doesn't cost me any time. It doesn't involve me much. Which is why some people do argue that, you know, technically speaking, hate is not the worst thing you can do to a human. It's, you know, dismissing them as a being. It's far better. Right. Good stuff. Well, I mean, of course, there is a pretty much giant gorge between these two particular points that you have mentioned. I happily agree with that, obviously. Ah, explain yourself. Strange winged creature. What you're telling here, little angel, is that you're going to mind rape somebody to make the shit that you come up with. Is the point I'm getting out of here. Seems a bit cruel. Especially because, well, let's be honest, yeah, humanity doesn't actually need much in the way of forced things to their head. They come up with enough crazy shit of their own ways. So long. Yeah, I can absolutely see the basis for that. I can see why you would look at these poor creatures and go like, yeah, that is sad. But there's always the question of, but is it... How do I even put this? But have they done anything to change the situation? Could they change the situation? Does this person need to sit on the street freezing and begging? Because if they live in a country like Germany, absolutely not. Everybody in Germany could absolutely get the government to get them a home and some money to live off. Heck, I right now live off the government money. Do you see that behind me? That's called an apartment. You see that? That's warm clothing. And, if I had something to eat in my hands right now, I would show you and go like, do you see this? This is the food I bought with the government money. Now, if somebody has fallen into abusing substances for reasons far, far outside of what they could influence, that is indeed a sad case. But that is also quite often a case you will have no way to change, for all. As for mentally unstable people, well, I mean, it seems to be a rising problem with people that say at least consider themselves to be mentally rather unstable, which you would assume is a good first step, because if you admit that you are unstable mentally, you would assume that they would then do something about it. But quite often it seems, at least from what I can tell, and I'm of course not an expert, that these people just use their apparent instability to annoy the rest of the internet through means like Twitter and shit. I'm sitting there like, questionable at best, but oh well. Well, yeah, it's always going to be about where you personally draw the line between it. It's just, in the past, I would have looked on a homeless person and just felt sad about it. Nowadays, I ask myself the question, why the fuck are you sitting on the street? When there is no actual need for you to do so. What would Jesus do? Well, that depends. Depends, doesn't it? I mean, he's probably, if Jesus were come back, he's probably like, well, you know what, I've already died on the cross for your fucking sins, so how about you just deal with it? Absolutely, that would actually be a very good movie idea. Basically, a reborn Jesus in our modern age. Jesus learns all of the shit humanity does. He looks online about what sort of fetishes humanity into, and then he learns about how, people enjoy shit like, I don't know, pissing and shitting on each other. And he's be like, well, I've died for these motherfuckers. I ain't gonna do that again. Becoming ever more defiant. I would watch that. I would watch the ever living shit out of that. Because depending on how you do it, that could be an absolutely amazingly entertaining movie. And to some degree also showcase just how, well, in an amusing way, mind you, degenerate humanity actually is. You don't need to make it all, sinister or evil or even Nothing like that, you know? You can keep it lighthearted, basically. But give it a bit of a, you know, nasty twist. Where Jesus is like, fuck. Fuck me sideways, I can't even. It's like, oh, Godfather, you have to watch this shit all the time. But you go to the background like, yes, son. I can't. Can't even close my eyes. Man, that must be a sucky job. I don't want to be god of our species. A shit you would have to see. Oh boy. Ah. Well, actually, there's technically speaking quite a few good books that, depending on what angle you read through them, can leave a quite different impression. Actually, that's true for even such things as Machiavelli's Il Princi thingy. Even that book can be seen from multiple perspectives and interpreted in different ways. Most people still come to the conclusion that Machiavelli was a bit of an asshole, but that's kind of unfair. Oh well. I mean, either that or you just were really, 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 really good at marketing. You know? Maybe the book itself wasn't even that great, but maybe the people marketing it were just that fucking good. I mean, to be fair, the commandments are just, for the most part, they are basic shit that kinda needs to happen in order for society to even become a society, so there's really not much questionable in there, is there? Pretty easy rules. Don't kill, don't steal, don't fuck your neighbor's hot wife. She might be hot. The neighbor's probably gonna fuck you over for that particular act. And I can't even argue with that. He's probably very much so in his right. Because let's be honest, if all we were doing is to live the anarchist dream of, you know, being able to freely do whatever we want to whoever we want, yeah, I'm pretty sure society would collapse in quite a few small months, basically. Oh, I forgot. Should light that before us. Which is why I kinda disagree with the whole destruction of morality, because a lot of this morality that comes in great parts, or what we understand today as our modern way, because at the end of the day, morality is of course based on the populace opinion. Meaning that yes, as long as we all agree what is good, or well, what most people would agree is good and what is bad is going to be the moral compass of the society. And a lot of the, at least for the Western world, moral compass comes from, of course, Christian values. In case, well, in part from the from such simple things as the commandments. It keeps society working very, very well. After all. It hasn't really stopped some random assholes to come up with the idea of, no, we need to actually destroy this ingrained morality and replace it with our own version. In some cases, I don't know if you've ever read anything of the Marquis de Sade, but his idea was basically that we take every of these, at their core, Christian values, and create our own morality by doing the exact opposite. All of the works of the Marquis de Sade are absolutely perverse, mind you. It's really not the sort of reading material I would recommend, to be fair, because it's going to be a fucking annoying book to read, and the other one as well. But technically speaking, you can get a very good idea of just how a society would look if we were to do this. And for some mystery, there's still people around who are still trying to do this. We're like, no, we cannot have a morality based on Christianity any longer. That's not good. We need to find something else to do it. And then they come up with stupid things. Very stupid things. Ah. Such sadness. So yes, let's just ignore the obvious right answer in front of us and let's try to find a better answer. I'm sure it's out there. Sure, it's out there. Just like, you know, that mystifistical of the most mystifistical being actually the wider audience that apparently every company that ever got anywhere tried to find and, well, has managed to successfully miss apparently. Hasn't stopped them from trying again, mind you. I'm pretty sure I made this point, when was it, yesterday? Pretty sure it was yesterday, where I was actually reminded, like, you know, look, there's BioWare. In case you weren't aware, BioWare, actually motherfucking guns were also responsible for, you know, such minor little titles like Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. And then decided, you know what, we're not gonna do this any longer. We're gonna look for greener pastures. Have they found them yet? No, absolutely not. I'm pretty sure most people wouldn't fucking last a week with fishing or collecting berries or any other of the more primitive ways. There are, do you know how many people there are nowadays that do not understand the logical conclusion that in order to have food in the supermarket shelves, we need farms. We need fucking farms to grow that food. We need factories to turn these resources into finished products. Well, actually, like, you know what, we should probably reduce that sector then, if it's such a complaining sector. It's like, yeah, sure. The next big news, we are all starving. Great idea. I personally would enjoy the challenge, mind you, and I think I've always held the opinion, you know, you can probably take 10, 12, 20 random ass men from all over the world. So long as they at least can communicate, so long as all of them can at least speak some English, for example, you could probably put them on a completely isolated island and leave them to themselves, and they'd probably honestly have a lot of fucking fun trying to survive that. I mean, sure, it would have its hardships, yes, but I can absolutely see them enjoying the ever-living shit out of that. You know, freed from all of the normal societal fucking shit that keeps you in line, that makes sure that you're not acting out, that you're not following through on any stupid ideas. But what if you wouldn't have a choice? What if you were stranded outside and you would have to try all of the stupid ideas and see if they work? Yeah. Seems like an interesting way of growing up, and an entertaining one. Strip poker. I have an unfortunate tendency, at least after a couple of drinks, to agreeing to such things as well, and it usually doesn't end well for me. Which, to be fair, you know, I have long since given up on being embarrassed about that shit. It's just like, well, now it's a game, it's a game. The rules are the rules. Blinded by the idea of the potential that would hold. I have fallen quite a few times. Well, I think the last time I did it, I didn't even really consider it. I was just sitting there going like, one more round? While drinking a beer, feeling a bit shitty. Because it was fucking cold. Why was it fucking cold, actually? Because I remember it was fucking cold, because I could literally feel my balls going like, trying to escape into my body, because it was that fucking cold in that room. Why? I don't even remember. Well, it wasn't my greatest performance, neither poker-wise nor impressing the ladies with my massive size, mind you. But then again, at least I pulled through. It's more than some others did. I mean, I wouldn't go that far necessarily. Sometimes I do find it rather tempting to go back, you know, to just jump back in time a little bit and just re-experience some of the shit we did earlier. On the other side of the argument, I mean, there is always the next best nice thing to enjoy. You know, there's new anime to come out, new waifus to discover, new games from series that you love, and some game studios, like Falcom for example, have stayed rather true to their their tradition, their lineage, to their fans. So, you know, I mean, you know, even me, you know, if somebody were ever offering to pay me, like, you know, a nice amount of money in order to give me the necessary freedom to spend like a month or so on a fucking, you know, empty island with a few other guys just trying to survive, I'd probably be like, you know what? Yeah, I'll join you. You know, just get out of all of the nonsense, get away from all of the nonsense, have some actual very different experience once in a while. Would probably be absolutely awesome. I'm not gonna deny that. But for the most part, and that's part of the optimism, is that I do look forward to tomorrow, even though the world has ever more problems, of course. Yeah, that is scripted as fuck. I don't think that. No, nobody who has ever had the pleasure of being married would be that much of a cunt, that much of a cuck, especially not of millions on the table. Literally, it takes maybe a few thousand in some cases to get people to spend very, very, very long time away from their spouses, no problem whatsoever. So yeah, that is scripted as fuck shit, and I really do hate that we have that a lot of stuff has specifically, and actually I think actually this sort of fake reality shit. I mean, that started all the way back, if you remember that particular series with Big Brother and shit. Never was into it. But after a while, you know, the producers realized that any sort of drama that happens and any sort of excitement that happens that, you know, the viewers could watch actually would do well for their numbers. So, of course, the next logical step was then, why don't we introduce artificial drama? And from there, it all became ever more scripted as fuck, as you just saw very, very correctly pointed out, which is just horrible. Which is why, personally, of course, like many others, at some point or another, have kind of given up on many of these, actually on TV as a whole, mind you, at this point. And don't feel bad for it. Enjoy the internet. Like, if I want something, you know, to be fair, the same sort of shit is now en masse on YouTube, if you're looking for it, where it's rather obvious that the shit is scripted. But there's still just, you know, pure random and authentic, which is actually the most important part, content there, which just make it far more preferable if I, you know. Yeah, me too. The only reason why I have a TV is for my consoles. I quite literally, I don't even have one of these boxes that, you know, they need to watch TV around here. I'm always surprised when I go up to my parents and they're like, yeah, you don't just get your TV out of the socket, you know, that you have in your wall any longer. No, you actually need to get cable from the socket in the wall into the receiver thingy, and then the receiver has a cable going up into TV, and I'm like, wow, it sounds fucking horrible. Yeah, movies. Old movies. That's actually another reason why I have a TV standing back there, because, well, I still have a nice little cassette recorder thingy there. So sometimes I watch my old cassettes, like, you know, stuff like Jurassic Park. Actually, also have a Sailor Moon movie, mind you. That was dope. Pretty dope. This is a nice background music to talk to, though. Just, you know, nice little relaxed think hub play. Ah, Shining. This is a movie I haven't seen in a while. And to be fair, there are some movies that you quite literally just rewatch to make absolutely damn sure that yes, they are still just as bad as the first time. Ooh, God, there's some German production that I also remember that I don't know if I still have that one cassette. There was one German movie, what was it called? Yeah, names. Names are my greatest friends. And then I forget about them. I don't remember the top of it, but it's really not that important. It was also one of these movies that was... Oh God, how bad it was. And I remember doing the exact same thing a few years ago, where I was like, you know what, you really have to rewatch this just to see how and if and why it really was as bad as I remember it. Rewatching it, I realized, yes, it fucking was. Jesus Christ, I mean, you know, people are always saying, you know, that Germans have no humor. That's a lie. Germans can have quite a lot of humor. The German language actually lends itself rather well to making it rather humorous little thingies with your words, you know, technically speaking. However, just with, you know, German subtitles for anime, apparently the makers of this particular work did just not fucking care and threw together whatever they could to create something that is so far away from being good. It's actually surprising that they haven't, you know, bum-rushed good at this point with all the badness. Oh my, oh my. You can ban art. Uh-huh. Going off the list of forbidden books, paintings, and symbols that are absolutely not allowed in Germany, I would kind of disagree and go like, you can ban art pretty easily even. Actually, anything, you know, related to a particularly tiny mustached man fall under that particular category of forbidden, verboten, very much verboten, in case you were wondering. Which is very, very stupid, because by that reason you just mystify it even more. That's not all. We have still, I think, games that are not that you're not allowed to actually buy or sell above the table. For stuff like violence in them, it's like stuff from the 90s, so you know what's that gonna look like? Like, yeah, sure, there's absolutely a good reason why we should still have that on the index. Governments, I tell ya. Governments, man. I mean, you know, I'm not even complaining about them not being the fastest on their feet, but Jesus Christ, you would assume that after 30 years or so pass, somebody would look at the list and go like, this is fucking ridiculous. But apparently not, no. Apparently no. That's actually a movie I also should rewatch it on. V for Vendetta. Maybe I will do so. Sometimes the following days. Like, maybe I just do it on Discord, actually. I can have people join in and having fun with that, because that movie actually would give quite a few nice little points that you could talk about, now that I think about it. Also, a dear friend here, Deal, has a quite enlightened perspective Because he's like, well, you know, the war cannot end so quickly, which sometimes actually is the right answer. Sometimes you actually do not wish or want a war to end too quickly. In fact, some might argue that the Ukrainian war right now is quite literally one of those examples when the Western side would really not really like to have this end quickly. Ah, enlightened perspective. Such neat concepts. Shall we indeed? But far more important, if you already bring out the most cursed language, there's only one singular saying in that particular language that really, really should one remember. That is l'état, c'est moi. And that is all you need to know about France. Anything else you can kind of skip over. It's just, you know, it's French. You don't need to know it. Hello, little blondie. And as I've pointed out multiple times, even if Adol were to die in his young age, he'd quite literally force himself back into an undead existence to continue exploring. The very moment somebody stands over his grave and mentions something he hasn't heard of yet. Ah. Well, I mean, you know, I'm pretty sure you are actually somewhat entitled to having a very more clear-cut opinion on this particular matter that involves Russia and anything that came before it than many others. Pretty fair point you're making there. I always had a feeling that no matter if it's Russia today or the Soviet states before, those are really not good neighbors to have. Bit uncomfortable of a neighbor. And that is putting it very nicely. Nope, you're question mark. Actually, what was your name? I'm pretty sure it was Lisa, wasn't it? Which we only know because we just had a vision of memories flashing through his mind. Well, rather obviously. Even just the threat of war can make people very strange. Which should be rather obvious. We're talking about potentially, well, quite literally life-threatening events. It makes people do very horrible things because people actually like to be alive, not endangered and not threatened. So if they feel threatened and endangered and fear for their potential, for their life in a potential scenario, they're gonna come up with many, many great ways to enhance their chances. That is indeed true. Trust does not grow on trees, it is a hard-earned resource. No matter if it is trust for business, which is a hard-earned resource and easily lost, same for trust in people, obviously. I don't know why some people have the opinion that they should just be trusted on the basis of nothing. A random stranger tells me something. Why would I be inclined to just trust their word? Seems like a strange concept. Based on what indeed? Based on what indeed? She'll need my drink, and I'm gonna get it now because I'm suffering. Yeah. I'm not, you know, I don't see the reason, the logic there. I really don't. Because let's be quite clear, yeah. Humans have the capacity, the mental capacity to lie. Very easily. If somebody tells me something that I don't know the person, I'm not gonna trust them to tell me the truth. Obviously. Why would I? I mean, ask yourself, you know? Ooh, wireless. I never trusted wireless. I hate wireless. I still have fucking headphones that have wires. I don't fucking care. Everybody with their fucking... What even are these things called? AirPods or whatever the fuck. Don't give a shit. Same with wireless keyboards and mouses. It's like, look, I don't have any wires. It's like, yeah, sure. But you have batteries in that thing now, aren't you? Well, sucks to be you if you run out of battery. I don't give a shit. Use good shit. Use good shit that uses wires. The wires are good. Wires are great. They get shit done. Yeah, hello strategy, welcome. Well, I mean, that is Lisa. She's not so much getting in... Well, and to be fair, she is kind of implying that she likes him. Jesus fucking Christ, strategy. Oh, nice. That's actually full fucking 2 years you managed it, and yeah. Jesus Christ. That is a fucking respectable amount of time you spent. Actually, that is a good point you're making there. I have never looked this up. Is there... Come here, internet. Give me a second. I need to do something. I need to do something for science. I'm fucking damned. There is indeed. Yes, indeed. Not much, rather obviously. A lot of it is pretty fucking vanilla, as far as I can say. God damn, it actually seems that there are quite a few people who thought to take the idea of, you know, people trying to get into adults' pens quite literally. Or in other words, adult trying to get into other people's pens, which is also a fair point. Oh, poor little feeder. Interesting. Okay, I need a drink. There's something I need to do with. We're coming in with the important tips. Got shot my eyelid up, yes? Sure about that. No. Before we're getting in trouble with Twitch realizing that the topics of our conversation have somewhat degraded into the perverse again. Actually, that shouldn't really be a problem. We spent yesterday at least 2 hours talking about perverse things, so I don't see the problem, actually, now that I think about it. Just remind me, I still need to set up that fucking secondary channel so I can start putting stuff there to amuse people with. Ah. Hmm. Ah, the old rotten sides. What a great time to be alive and having witnessed that. It sounds like an interesting security system, however, it seems to have failed rather horribly in this particular case. Ah, kitty. Should have got that. Now is he like, food, maybe? Well, I mean, you know, for all the most definitively shocking images that you could find back in the day relatively easily, actually without any fucking work whatsoever, people that visited that still turned out pretty solid, honestly. Yeah, so maybe that would actually help. Maybe that would help some people. Who knows? Yeah, like shock therapy, you know? If the shock is just large enough, maybe they'll turn a full 180 and become good and decent people all of a sudden. I mean, you know, we've tried other things before, so maybe that's just a solution. There are some weird as fuck kids nowadays. And some weird as fuck young people shit nowadays around, where I'm like, I don't even. But well, I think the first time I realized that I couldn't keep up with that shit, I was like, you know, I can understand what it means to be an old person. Man, don't I want to get... do I really not want to get involved with that shit? But I mean, it doesn't need to sound good because, well, you know, while we have widely agreed that the area of physical punishment is over, I'm personally still of the opinion that it, you know, if applied at the correct amount, does not actually hurt the upbringing. In fact, it can be quite the efficient learning tool. I mean, you know, that's not me. Hasn't made me any stranger. All the strangeness you see before you is made by yours truly, in my own lonely hours. But I mean, you know, I always dislike the idea of flies. Because, you know, if it's one singular little fucking fly that just sits somewhere on the wall, I'm gonna be like, yeah, sure, no problem. But if the motherfucker starts continuously bumping into my head for an extended period of time, my mercy for said little creature will be running out relatively quickly. Okay, now. It's all in the perspective. Just beat the bad away. I mean, to be fair, there were times where we tried to beat the gay away, but that also has hardly not worked as well as we had hoped. But that might be one point against that idea, but at least let me say it like this, at least the beating will probably not necessarily beat out the good. That much we cannot testify for, so... Perhaps we just haven't found the right way to hit and beat and punch yet. Maybe we need to invent a few more tools for that. But who knows? Who knows? That is the point. It's dark, but it's still humor, and since we all do kind of like to amuse ourselves, it's kind of in our nature. It is kind of funny, isn't it? And I see no problem with it at all. I mean, you know, everybody's like, well, you know, them gays, they're kind of gay. What is gay? Well, it's not manly, so, you know, if you act like a fucking pussy, they're gonna be like, oh, that's a gay. It's easy enough to say. I mean, technically speaking, you can, through some amount of physical force, turn a young and rather innocent man into a soldier, which usually is a process that also involves some physical pain, not just from training, mind you. So potentially you can at least make them somewhat obedient, let's say. However, if you're joining into more modern armies like we have nowadays, not only will you not get the lesson nearly as strictly and stridently delivered as that was in the past, but even if you then go out into the whole wide world and do your duty, you'll probably come back being frustrated and never wanting to join the military ever again, because, well, pretty sucky. Yes, and technically speaking, our jails should, you know, focus a lot more on the re-education of people. We can actually reintegrate them into our society, and not just, you know, put them in, give them a nice little room and some games to play, and then put them out again, waiting for them to come back again, because, well, you know, I have to go back, little strategy. Oh well, it's bad actually. I kind of was hoping I would find some nice opportunity to break over and have another nice little talk for a bit, actually. Because I did say I wanted to talk about AI at some point, and I did found the article I was looking for. You showcase just how involved that process is, at least in some sectors nowadays. Even found a nice new picture. So the people can get confused about it, then start the long journey of trying to find that particular artist. Actually does pretty cute demon lord. Didn't take me long to find, because, well, easy enough. Which also would give me a nice opportunity to once again get myself a nice beer. I think we're gonna do that actually. I mean, it is getting slowly but ever so surely later. I mean, you would think so, but then again, technically and practically speaking, would broader society accept that? Because that would mean somebody gets to decide what goes and what doesn't, and we probably would never agree on who should decide that. I mean, heck, we can't even agree on what is good and bad, generally speaking, for all of the world. I mean, there are some places in the world where it's still pretty damn fucking okay to, you know, keep the fine agenda pretty much as a slave in your house, and that is a moral good for them. You know. Well, we're in town now, which means I can do shopping and I can probably get some side quests and shit, which means this is actually a nice opportunity for me to switch over to talkie mode while I get myself a beer, isn't it? Save game.